Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. I hope you guys are well. Thank you for joining me for another live stream with Britcent. I can see we have a few people in the chat already. We have Stacy, welcome back. How are you? We have I think that is. I'm not sure if I've seen you here before. Are you new? And Beatrice, hello. You've come back. I haven't seen you for a while. How's everything? I hope you're okay. And hello to Chan, how are you? Thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you can hear me clearly and see me as well. Please let me know if there's any problems with that. You'll notice there's a fly in my room. I just saw it on the camera. It's annoying. There's this big black fly that keeps flying around. So we have a little friend in the room today. The weather here has suddenly become all wintry again today. Last time I was so happy about how sunny and warm it was, but it's gone back to dull and rainy today, and it's quite cold, quite chilly, so I'm wearing my cardigan. Although they're still saying it's going to get very hot at the end of August. There's going to be some sort of heat wave, apparently. We'll see. So let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me okay, please. Hi, Beatrice. Beatrice says, I'm good. How are you? I'm glad you're okay. I'm very well, thank you. All okay over here. So today we have a very exciting stream. It's one of my favorite subjects, as you all know. Cooking, food, all of that is my favorite sort of thing. So we're going to be talking about foods that you typically find on restaurant menus and pub menus in the UK, in England especially, and not necessarily traditional food, but just food that is very common, let's say, on menus. So if you're traveling here in the UK, you're coming here on holiday or living here, you might want to know what these things are. So hopefully this will be useful and quite fun as well. So we'll get started with that in a minute. Just going to wait for a few more people to join us. Chan says, I'm great. How's the COVID-19 situation there? Over here, I think it's getting a bit better. The news is always a little bit conflicting. So sometimes, conflicted rather. So the other day I read an article saying that the R number has gone down, which is fantastic, which means the number of people who have COVID within a certain number. I'm not really sure exactly how it works, but yeah, the statistics have said that it's going down, which is great. I imagine that's because people are getting vaccinated more over here. But then, yeah, there's still some news stories saying that there's higher numbers in some parts of the UK than others. Yeah, so it's okay. It's not bad. We're able to do things now, which is nice. No more lockdown. Some people are choosing to wear their masks and some people are not. Depends on the person, really. There's no obligation to wear one now. Although I have noticed some shops have written have put a sign in their windows saying, please wear your mask. So some shops are kind of imposing that rule and others are not. So it really depends. What about over where you are, Chan? How's it going? Hi to Sowu, welcome back. How are you? I hope you've had a good start to the week. And hello to Bubble Tea. Got a few more people joining us now. Hello to Jenny, welcome. Yeah. Beatrice says, I got vaccinated last Friday. Aha. You don't actually need to use on in this case, Beatrice, because you said last. You don't need to use on. But that is fantastic news. Are you feeling okay? And which vaccine did you get? I got the Pfizer vaccine myself, and I had my last one a couple of weeks ago. I didn't suffer any side effects, luckily. Just a sore arm, but that didn't last for longer than a couple of days, luckily. So that's great. Chan says, I think it's getting worse in Korea. Oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that. That must be so frustrating. Yeah, and I guess the rules are quite strict as well. I didn't have any side effects. No, luckily I was one of the lucky ones. But I know a couple of people who have had flu symptoms and things, so I'm glad I didn't. Hello to Bobe. How are you? Nice to see you here. Welcome. So I think we're going to get started, guys. So I'm going to share my screen as I normally do. So here we are. This is our topic for today. And as usual, I have a little pre-quiz question to ask you, which I will reveal the answer to at the end of the stream. So please stick around until the very end. Just a couple of comments in the chat. Stacey says it's raining in Seoul. Lightning flash and thunder crash just a few hours ago. Oh, wow. A storm. Do you like storms? I find them a bit scary myself. I feel like a baby saying that, but I don't really feel comfortable, especially if I'm trying to sleep. But my partner loves them. He thinks they're great fun. Bubble Tea said, I got a corona test a few hours ago. Oh, I hope my results could come back negative. Oh, I hope so. Good luck. I hope you get the result you want. Did you take that because you were traveling or for some other reason? And Beatrice is feeling okay. That's fantastic. Great. I'm glad to hear that. Hello to Jassim. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. So let's have a quick look at this question that I have for you guys. So let's get involved. We've got a little riddle for you here. Okay. So I want you to try and figure out what food this is that we're talking about. Okay. Hello to Silver Paper. Welcome. So you're just in time for the pre-quiz question. Here we go. So I am a seed with 3 letters in my name. Take away the last 2 and I still sound the same. Notice the rhyme there? Yes. This is a riddle. So I want you to guess, what am I? Type your answer in the chat. I won't confirm the answer until the very end of the stream. So stick around to find out whether you got your answer right or not. But feel free to write your ideas in the chat. And then we'll find out later. And we will have a mini quiz later on as well. So that's my pre-quiz question. We have an answer from Beatrice. Is there anyone else who wants to give it a try? I'm going to move on though, but feel free to write your answers down. And hello to Soyun. Welcome. Hi. So, let's talk about traditional British food first. I have some pictures of traditional dishes that you might be familiar with. And I just want you to tell me what you think their names are. What are they called? So here's the first picture. You might recognize this from one of my other streams. Does anybody know what we call this dish? Let me know in the chat if you have any ideas. Okay, I'm just waiting for you guys to suggest any answers to this. Silver Paper has suggested Yorkshire pudding. That's a very good answer. And in fact, there is a Yorkshire pudding on the dish. But what about the dish itself, the whole dish? Chan says Sunday something. Okay, yeah, you're on the right track. Sunday what? Bubble tea, Sunday thing. Okay, I'll put you out of your misery. The answer is a roast dinner. You can also call it, however, a Sunday roast. So this is something that was traditionally eaten on a Sunday and is still eaten on a Sunday sometimes. Yeah, and it's basically roast meat. So in this case, it's probably chicken, or pork with potatoes, vegetables, and Yorkshire pudding, which is that kind of round thing on the right. Delicious. Okay, so that's very, very traditional. So if you come to the UK and you're in a pub on a Sunday or a restaurant on a Sunday, often you'll find roast dinners or Sunday roasts there. How about this one? You must know this one. This is something that everybody talks about when they come to visit the UK. What do we call this kind of dish? Does anybody know the name? Jenny says, English breakfast. Fantastic, Jenny. You are totally right. It's called an English breakfast. You can also call it a full English. Well done, Slava. Yeah, that's exactly it. Well done. So this is a traditional British breakfast. As you can see, we have eggs, bacon, sausages, some toast, baked beans, hash browns, etc. I actually had one of these myself on, when was it? Sunday morning. Yes, I made it myself at home. It was actually the first English breakfast that I've cooked in my new home. I've been living here for about 5 months now, and it's the first time I've cooked a full English. And if I say so myself, it was pretty tasty. But I was full for hours. I didn't need to have lunch. Okay, another traditional food. Does anybody know what we call this one? So this is, as you can see from the picture, kind of meat, like a layer of meat, sauce, and then on top there's mashed potato. I'm actually having this for dinner tonight, so I'm very excited because it's very, very good. Does anyone know what we call this? It has 2 names, so if you know one of them, just type it in the chat. Chan said it looks like lasagna. It kind of does look like lasagna, but it's not actually pasta. It's made with potato instead. Jenny and Slava have suggested shepherd's pie. Very good. And Soyan as well. Fantastic. It can either be called shepherd's pie, which would be with lamb, or it could be cottage pie, which is with beef. So yeah, I'm having cottage pie this evening because we're eating beef. And Soyan said, I ate it last week. Fantastic. Did you cook it or help someone to cook it? Or did you get it in a restaurant? Delicious. Okay, these are some traditional ones. Now I'm going to show you some other traditional things, but this time we're going sweet. So does anybody know the name of this sponge, this cake that's very traditional in cafes and, you know, cake shops around the UK? So you said, I went to a British restaurant. Oh, lovely. That sounds nice. So you've got a British restaurant in Korea, in Seoul, perhaps. Yeah, lovely. Okay, well, I actually made a silly mistake because the picture itself has the name on it here. So perhaps you'll see it. I don't know if it's a little bit too tiny, but Silver Paper has suggested Victorian cake. It's very close, yes. And G here says Victoria cake as well. Yes, basically it's Victoria sponge is what we normally call it, Victoria sponge. So it's like a vanilla sponge cake, and in the middle there's cream and some kind of jam, like usually strawberry jam or raspberry jam. Very, very tasty. Victoria sponge cake. Very good. Bobe says, I really want to eat all that food. Yes, in fact, I should have warned you that this is going to be a very hungry lesson, okay? Because I'm going to be showing you lots of pictures of food, talking about food, so you're going to be hungry. So if you are near the fridge, maybe you should grab a snack to eat, because otherwise you're going to be starving after this. Henna says, I'm starving. Oh no. Chan says, why is it called Victoria? I believe it's because Queen Victoria loved it or invented it. I'm not exactly sure if she invented it or loved it, but it's named after Queen Victoria. Yeah, and it's very good, Silver Paper, you're right. Here is another very traditional British dessert. It's made with different kinds of fruit, so you can find apple, you can find raspberry, you can find blackberry, many types. I think this one is probably berries of some kind. But what do we call this one? It's normally served warm with ice cream or cream or custard. Does anybody know what we call this dessert, this pudding? Jihet has suggested crumble, and you are right. Fantastic, Jihet. That is right. It is crumble. So you can have apple crumble. Apple and blackberry is very popular. Apple and blackberry crumble. So you'll probably see that on a lot of pub menus for dessert. In pubs, they normally give you warm desserts, such as crumble, different kinds of pudding, but they also serve ice cream and things like that as well. Not so much Victoria sponge. Victoria sponge is more of an afternoon thing, like a cake shop or something. But in a pub, if you're going for dessert, they would normally serve something like this. And another traditional pub dessert or restaurant dessert is this, especially in the summertime. Does anyone know what we call this dish? It's made with, as you can see from the picture, some cream, berries and meringue. So very sweet, crispy meringue. What do we call this one? Beatrice has suggested oatmeal for the crumble one. Yeah, you can put like oats in it, but it's mainly flour, butter and sugar. And it's kind of, I guess, made into a kind of fine substance with your hands, like grains. Okay, so Jenny suggested sundae. It's not actually a sundae, this one. And it's not a parfait either, no. It's basically layers of meringue, cream, and berries. Similar to a pavlova, if you know what a pavlova is, but it's not very neat. It's like a messy pavlova. In fact, the name contains one of the words I just said. Perhaps this one's a bit of a difficult one. Okay, I'll reveal the answer. It's actually called Eton mess. The reason why it's called mess is because it looks a bit messy, because basically you're kind of mixing together the ingredients of a pavlova. So pavlova is normally layered like very neatly, but this isn't. It's kind of all crumbled and mixed up and messy. So we call it Eton mess. Very good. And especially if you've got like fresh berries in season, it's really nice to eat and quite popular on pub menus. So these are the very traditional foods that I've shown you. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing now is showing you 7 foods that are not necessarily traditionally English, but they are foods that you'll find on a lot of menus, especially bistros, pubs, and kind of European style restaurants in the UK. So, without further ado, let's get started with our 7. Some of them you may know already. You may know them pronounced differently, however, so it could still be interesting for you to hear the pronunciation and how we cook with these foods, how they're usually used in restaurants here. Silver Paper says, oh, I've never heard of it, but I really want it. Yes, me too. I could eat an Eton mess right now. Yum, yum, yum. Right, let's get started with number 1. So my first food that you have to know when you go to England, because you'll see it on a lot of menus, is this one. So as you can see, I've written the phonetics because it might be a bit tricky to pronounce, or maybe you pronounce it differently in your countries. But in England, we pronounce it halloumi. Halloumi. Does anybody know what halloumi is? Let me know in the chat if you have any idea what type of food halloumi is. Now, this is not a dish, it's just a type of food that is found commonly on British menus. Silver Paper said it is cheese. You are right. Well done. It is a type of cheese. Fantastic. One of my favorite cheeses, actually. Yeah. And I'll give you a little bit of information about it. So it's a solid white cheese made from sheep or goat's milk. Okay. And when you buy it, you can buy it in the supermarket here from any supermarket. And it comes in like a kind of plastic package. And it's very solid and very kind of hard seeming. And when you open it, it's kind of got a rubbery feeling to it. So you slice it. And normally we eat it warm. It's originally from Cyprus, which is in Europe. It's not far from Greece and Turkey, Cyprus. In fact, in Greece and in Turkey, I believe they also eat halloumi, but it's originally from Cyprus. You can find it all over the UK. Very, very popular, and very popular in restaurants. And as I said before, we normally grill this cheese. So we don't normally eat it raw. You don't normally find it raw. So when you buy it yourself, you would have to slice it and then grill it on both sides or fry it on both sides, and it's served warm. And you'll find it in a lot of restaurants here. Soyun said, later I'll try to buy a halloumi cheese. Yes, give it a try. Get your grill out and fry it. It's really, really tasty. It's quite salty and really, really tasty. So I'm going to show you some pictures of how we normally find halloumi in restaurants. So if you look at the top left, there's a picture of the cheese itself grilled. So that's just simply grilled halloumi. So that's how it would be if you're cooking it at home. You can eat it with a kind of salad, like the picture on the right. So with couscous, which is a kind of grain, really nice. Or you could eat it with bulgur wheat or quinoa, with rice, I suppose. So yeah, and with salad leaves and vegetables. And one of my favorites is actually the bottom left. These are halloumi fries. So in some pubs, they offer halloumi fries. In fact, I went to a pub on Saturday night and they had halloumi fries as a starter. And we definitely got those. As you can see, they're kind of coated in breadcrumbs and deep fried, so they're really crunchy and warm, and they're normally served with some sort of yogurty dip. So I think the one we had was like a kind of garlic dip, and it was really tasty. And another favorite of mine with halloumi, if we have any vegetarians in the house, this is a good alternative to a beef burger, is a halloumi burger. So in some restaurants in England, they serve a nice brioche bun with grilled halloumi, some onions, some peppers, maybe some kind of like chili jam or something sweet like that. And it's really, really good. So I've written these names here so you can see. I don't know if you're familiar with couscous, but that's very popular as well. It's originally from Morocco, I believe. And it's eaten a lot in tagines and things like that in Morocco. But yeah, we eat it with salads here. Lots of salads and halloumi. It's really nice. Somebody here has said, I love the fried one. It's so tasty. Yes, you're right. It's delicious. So yeah, if you get a chance to try this, any of you, go for it. So that's halloumi. That's our number one. Number two is this one. Again, you might know this. I'm not sure if you guys eat this in your countries, but it's written in different ways. People are always writing it, spelling it differently, but the pronunciation in England is hummus. Hummus. Hummus is delicious. Again, another veggie dish if you're vegetarian, or if you're not. I'm not vegetarian, but I love hummus. Hummus is a kind of dip. So it's a dip or a spread. And it's made from chickpeas. Well done, guys. Yeah, Jenny, yeah, it's made from chickpeas. Okay, you guys like it? Bubble Tea says, I like it. You know about it. Brilliant. And so you said, I love it. Beatrice says, I love hummus. Nice. Me too. Me too. It's delicious. And it's originally from the Middle East. So there's a lot of dishes with hummus in the Middle East. However, of course, as I said, like in England, you can find it in different restaurants, not Middle Eastern restaurants necessarily, but you can find it in Turkish restaurants, you can find it in Greek restaurants, Cypriot restaurants, but you can also find it in pubs, like British pubs as well. Yeah. Bubble C said, I tried it in London for the first time. Aha, there you go. And these are chickpeas. So this is what hummus is made from. I believe I did try to make my own hummus once at home, and it was pretty tasty actually. You have to get chickpeas, and you also need olive oil, lots of lemon to squeeze in, obviously salt, and a little bit of garlic. And you also need tahini, which is kind of like a paste made from sesame seeds. You can make it at home quite easily. And that way it doesn't have any extra ingredients, because obviously you can buy this in the supermarket, but obviously there's going to be some, you know, preservatives and things like that. It's really nice. G here says, oh, it's from the Middle East, so I could try it at a Turkish restaurant. Yeah, they always have it in Turkish restaurants, usually as a kind of side or as a starter. And some dishes come with hummus as well. Stacey says, hummus is one of my favorite foods. I made some hummus at home last week. Ah, very good. Very nice. Very lovely. Yeah, it's really tasty when you make it at home. You need to get the right consistency though, so it takes some time to get it how you like it. Here are some pictures of hummus. So as you can see, you know, it can be in a bowl with maybe some bread to dip into it, or maybe some crudités such as like carrots, peppers, celery, cucumber. You might want to dip it in there as a healthy snack. You could have it in a bowl, like as a salad, maybe with some avocado, some chicken, some salad leaves, etc. And at the bottom, you'll see there's a green hummus. This is because in England, in supermarkets and things, you can often find different flavors of hummus, like avocado hummus or beetroot hummus, which is a deep purple color. One that I bought the other day was jalapeno hummus. It's a very spicy hummus with chili peppers. So there's lots of different like flavors of hummus nowadays as well in supermarkets and shops. Sowu says chickpea has high protein. It's good for diet. Yes, yes, exactly. It is high protein. It's a really good protein snack if you don't want to eat meat or fish, for example. Really nice. Okay, let's move on to number 3. So we've got halloumi, we've got hummus, delicious foods. And the third one is something that kind of goes together with hummus in restaurants a lot of the time. And number 3 is, here we go, flatbreads. Flatbread. So you can see the pronunciation there, flatbreads. Obviously, if you're saying it kind of naturally in English, you might drop the T because it's easier. So you might say flatbreads, flatbreads, like that. The name indicates what it is. It's a type of bread that is very thin and flat and usually served warm. The reason why it's thin is because it's unleavened, and unleavened means made without yeast. So basically it doesn't have a chance to rise like other kinds of breads do. Flatbreads, I don't know the exact origin of flatbreads because they have flatbreads in so many different cultures. So you can find a type of flatbread in India, for example, where they have like naan bread or chapatis, that sort of thing. But you can also find flatbreads in Italy, like focaccia, for example, is a type of flatbread. Pita bread, if any of you know, pita bread is another one. So these are all different kinds of flatbreads. Yeah, for example, pita from the Middle East, chapati and naan from India, tortilla, which is from Mexico. So they're all made throughout the world, obviously. But the ones that I'm talking about are just kind of like like if you go to a pub or restaurant and you order, let's say, some hummus, they would normally give it with some flatbread. So it might be just a plain warm piece of bread that's kind of thin, almost like pita, I would probably say. Yeah. Jenny says, I sometimes make pizza with flatbreads. Yeah, you can make them with pizza. So you can put cheese and tomatoes on top or other veggies and things like that. Really nice. Sewu says, naan, I like it. Me too. Really nice dipping it into a curry. So I have some pictures of how we normally use flatbreads in England. So as you can see, the top two are simple flatbreads. So they're just flatbreads with some herbs like rosemary, maybe some garlic, and they can be served with a dip. Or they could be like a kind of pizza, like the one at the bottom left, so with some tomatoes and cheese and basil. Again, at the pub I went to last weekend, we ordered a flatbread to share as a starter, and it had caramelized onion on it and cheese. So it's cheese and caramelized. So it was almost like a kind of pizza, I suppose. But it's not as heavy as a pizza. And sometimes you can also have a flatbread almost like a wrap. So it's like in the middle you can put some vegetables, some meat, some sauce, wrap it up and eat it, kind of like a burrito, I guess. So you can eat them in these ways, flatbreads. And they're very popular on lots of menus here in England. So the pub that I went to, they have, I think they've got 3 or 4 different types of flatbread to start with. They had one with blue cheese, I think it was. They had another one with just like cheese and tomato. They had one with just garlic and herbs. They're all really nice, I think. And they're often served warm. So that's a very important one to know. Let's move on to number 4. Chips. So this one is kind of, obviously I know that you know what chips are, but we have so many types of chips in England that you can find in different restaurants. So it's good to know different names for chips and so you can choose your favorite when you go out. But don't forget that chips is the British word for what the Americans call fries or French fries. However, we do use the word fries in England because fast food chains like McDonald's and Burger King, they call them fries. So we also call them that. So if you go to McDonald's in the UK, they would use the word fries. Okay, but if you go to a pub, you might see the word chips or the word fries. It depends on the kind of potato. So I'm going to show you some different kinds of chips that you will find on menus here. Let me know if you've tried any of them before yourselves or which ones are your favorites, perhaps. So there are so many kinds of chips on British menus. So you could find what we call chunky chips. Chunky means that the chips are fat, so they're very thick cut chips. So they're normally quite crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside, and they are quite big, okay? Which is quite different to what I would call fries, because when I think of fries, I think of thin ones, like the ones from McDonald's. They're like French fries, so they're kind of thin and long, but chunky chips are shorter and fatter, let's say. So there's that kind of difference there. Another type would be curly fries. These are actually my favorite. I love curly fries. Have you guys tried curly fries before? If you haven't, the name suggests what they are. So they're kind of like a spiralized fry. So they're kind of curly like that, and they're really crispy and really, really tasty. I'll show you a picture in a minute. But have you ever tried them yourselves? So we have curly fries. We also have potato wedges, which are really popular. They're not fries, but they're more like a kind of, I guess you could say a potato that's kind of cut into the shape of a moon, like a half moon, almost like a half moon shape. those are called potato wedges. So sometimes when you go to a pub, they might serve burgers with potato wedges instead of fries, but you might be able to choose fries instead of the potato wedges if you prefer. They often have different versions on the menu. Bubble Tea said, is chunky chips served with fish and chips? Yeah, so fish and chips, we just call it fish and chips, but normally when you eat fish and chips, the type of chip is chunky. So it's not like fries. It's not thin. They're not thin. They're always fat chips. So yes, I would say chunky chips go with fish. And Sohyun says, I love potato wedges. Me too. I like all of these things, but I do like potato wedges. Really, really nice. Yeah. Silver Paper says, we called curly fries tornado potatoes. Do you? Ooh, I like that name. Tornado potatoes. Nice. And Helen said, I tried jacket potato in England. Interesting name. It is. Yes, I actually haven't included that here because it's not a type of chip. But jacket potato is another one that you'll find on menus. Not all places serve them, but in some cafes, maybe, traditional cafes. So it's like a baked, what Americans would call a baked potato, basically. So it's a whole potato baked in the oven, cut down the middle, and then inside you put different fillings. Yeah. Jihe says, I can tell chips for British are like rice for Koreans. Yes, I think so, Jihe. I think you're right. Standard food. And this one, if you ever see this on a menu, you should definitely get them. So triple cooked chips. I think they were invented by a famous British chef. I don't know if you know Heston Blumenthal, but he is a popular British chef. He's well known for making interesting, like unusual kind of dishes. And I'm pretty sure he invented the triple cooked chip. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. So basically they are cooked 3 times. And that kind of makes them super crispy. So definitely get these if you ever see them. Sohyun has asked me, is potato cheap in the UK? Yes, I would say a bag of potatoes you could buy for less than £1. So yeah, really cheap. And finally, sweet potato fries. Of course, you can find sweet potatoes. In England, the sweet potatoes are like a kind of orangey colour, so a deep orange colour. And in some restaurants, they serve them as fries, and they're really, really good. My favourite is sweet potato fries with mayonnaise as a dip. Really, really nice. Have any of you tried these before? Do you like sweet potato fries, or do you prefer regular fries, like normal potato? I'm going to show you some pictures of fries. I haven't got pictures of all of them, but if you look at the top left, you'll find the curly fries, which somebody told me earlier, Silver Paper told me are called tornado fries in Korea, which is interesting. Delicious, I love them. And then next to the curly fries are the sweet potato fries. This is what they look like. And bottom left, we have wedges. These are the wedges. And on the right, bottom right, these are the triple cooked chips. So if you see, they're like super crispy looking and fat. These are the best kind of chips if you want crispy chips. So if you ever find triple cooked chips, get them. Kenpyo, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, says we have wedges too. We have a brand of fried chicken called 60 something something. This store has wedge potato. Lovely. I think chicken with wedges sounds great. Delish. Lovely. So yeah, these are all the different kinds of chips you can find. I'm sure there are some others, but yeah. They're not originally British, these. I'm not saying they're traditionally from Britain, but I'm just saying these are the types of chips that you will find on menus here in England. Okay, just in case you don't know what they are, here they are. Okay, so let's move on to number 5. Number 5 is, here we go, sharing boards. Okay, so again, I don't know if this is popular in your countries, sharing boards, but these are really popular as a kind of starter in restaurants and pubs. especially if you're, you know, with a group of friends, group of people. Silver Paper has commented, what dip do you prefer for chips? I prefer mayonnaise and ketchup. So I normally double dip. So I put it in the ketchup and then in the mayonnaise, or the other way around. But if I go to McDonald's, which is quite rare because I'm not a big McDonald's fan, but if I do go to McDonald's, I like their barbecue sauce. I think their barbecue sauce is the best. I don't know why, it's just amazing from McDonald's. So Yun also likes mayonnaise. Jihe says mayo as well. Delicious, lots of lovely ones. I once tried one called baconaise, which was amazing. It was like a mayonnaise, but it was a bit pink, and it had this smoky bacon flavour, and it was amazing. So if you ever see baconaise, try that with your chips, especially sweet potato fries. So sharing boards, they're also called sharing platters or grazing boards, or sometimes you can see them as meze. These are all quite similar. They're not exactly the same, but basically they are a kind of board or plate, and on it you have lots of different kinds of starters or foods that you can kind of share with your friends, like antipasti, I guess you could call them, as well. Really popular in pubs and restaurants. They can be vegetarian, so you can get a veggie board, so lots of different sorts of veggies and salads with dips, maybe with cheese as well, but some of them also have meat or fish, or you can get a combination, so it depends on you, really. Really tasty. I'll show you some pictures. So you might find in a pub something like these. So you can see they've got like onion rings, olives, flatbreads. Seems to be some hummus there, some kind of ham, salami, and some other kinds of dips and things. I think olives are really popular. Olives, bread, dips, etc. Sometimes you can find deep fried ones. So if you go to a pub, you might get onion rings, maybe chicken wings. What else? Perhaps deep fried mozzarella sticks, halloumi fries, like all of that sort of thing. So these are very popular as a kind of sharing starter in some restaurants and pubs. Really nice if you fancy eating a lot. Really nice. Jihe says you should try samurai sauce from chips. I tried it before in Belgium. It was fantastic. Wow. That sounds spicy. Was it spicy? But I know that Belgium, I'm pretty sure they invented chips, didn't they? So it must be good. Yeah, lovely. And Soyun said, I've been to Belgium and my parents bought beers. Oh, yes, the Belgian beer is really good. Yeah, really nice. So yeah, lots of dips and things on these platters. Okay, let's go to number 6. So number 6, this is actually a sweet type of food. Again, I'm sure you're familiar with this. You might have seen it. Well, you've probably eaten it before in your own countries. Salted caramel. Salted caramel. So this is a very popular ingredient in desserts, and it's been popular for a number of years. It's really, really good. Have you guys ever tried it? And if you have, what do you like to eat it with? Kyompyo says, is this just one menu? Sharing platters is menu name, right? Sharing platter is a kind of, it's not a menu, because the menu is when you have starter, main and dessert. That's a menu. It's more of a dish, I would say, a dish name. So when you go to a pub, they'll often have starters, and normally starters are just for one person, but they might also have sharing platters or sharers, which is like a kind of big starter for more than one person. So it'd be shared between 2 or 3 people or more. Yeah. So they were talking about salted caramel. It's salty and sweet together. It's perfect. You're right. So it's kind of like a very sweet caramel, but it's got a little bit of salt in there, so it kind of makes it less sweet, if that makes sense. It's really nice. Jenny and 123 have mentioned salted caramel ice cream. Yes, I love that. Delicious. Really, really nice. Yeah. And Bubble Tea has also mentioned salted caramel latte. Yes, you can get it in drinks nowadays as well. So it's used as a kind of flavoring in different kinds of desserts. For example, as you mentioned, salted caramel ice cream, but you can also find chocolate and salted caramel brownies, for example. Delicious. So the combination of chocolate and salted caramel is quite popular here. I'll show you some pictures. So if you look at the top left, you will see the brownies. So as you can see, there's a layer of salted caramel in the middle. So it's really sticky, really sweet and tasty. And on the right-hand side, top right, this is actually a salted caramel cheesecake. Really nice as well. Creamy and sweet. So, Nazar, is it a caramel? Yeah, so it's kind of like, I guess, like a toffee sauce, that sort of thing. That's a caramel, so it's really soft. But it's got salt in it, so it's not as sweet as caramel. So it's caramel with salt, yeah. So if you look at the bottom right, that's what it looks like, salted caramel on its own in a jar. You can find it in the supermarket, actually. It's quite tempting to just eat it with a spoon like this person is. But you could use it in dishes such as these, or maybe on top of ice cream over there. Very popular in restaurants. So yeah, try it. If you haven't tried it, definitely give it a try. Really popular. And number 7, we're going to move to our last one before we do our mini quiz. Here we go. Drum roll, please. Number 7, our final thing that you will find on menus in the UK, or especially in England, are cheese and biscuits. Here we go. Cheese and biscuits. So you might find this a little bit strange. I don't know if this is something that you would have in your own countries, but cheese and biscuits is a very popular dessert in classic restaurants in England. So on the dessert menu, some people might decide, if you have a sweet tooth, you might decide to choose a salted caramel brownie, or maybe a cheesecake, or maybe some ice cream. But if you don't have a sweet tooth, perhaps you would like something to finish your meal that's not very sweet, and you can go for cheese and biscuits. Cheese and biscuits. So yeah, it's great for people who don't have a sweet tooth. And it doesn't mean biscuits like chocolate biscuits. It means kind of like crackers. So they are savory biscuits. They're not sweet, these biscuits. Let me show you a picture. So this is the kind of thing that you might get if you ordered cheese and biscuits at the end of your meal in a restaurant. So as you can see, there's different kinds of cheese. You can get like blue cheese, you can get goat's cheese, you can get cheddar cheese, you can get different kinds of cheese. And they normally give you some kind of dip with it, or chutney. So if you look at the picture at the bottom, that little white bowl, there's chutney in that. Chutney is like a kind of, it's almost like a kind of jam, I suppose, but it's very chunky. It's got pieces of fruit in it normally. So it could be, in my fridge, for example, I have one which is plum, but you can get them with caramelized onion as well. And they often give you biscuits or crackers. So these are the things that you might find on a cheese and biscuit plate at the end of your meal to finish it off. Have any of you tried this as a dessert before? Or would you prefer to go for something sweet, like a brownie or some ice cream at the end of your meal? What do you think, guys? Do you think it's unusual having cheese at the end of the meal, or do you think that sounds good? What do you think? Hi to Farzad, welcome. You're just in time for our mini quiz. and for me to reveal the answer to the question that I asked you at the very beginning of the stream. So let's go to that first. So at the very beginning of the stream, I asked you guys this riddle. I'm a seed with 3 letters in my name. Take away the last 2 and I still sound the same. And the question was, what am I? And some of you gave me answers before, so let's see what the answer was. But first, in the chat, Silver Paper says, I think most of Korean have those with wine. Ah, yes, it's very good with wine. Cheese board, yeah, lovely. Jihe says, I think it sounds more like an appetizer. Yes, yes. And Stacey says, I prefer salted caramel brownie. Me too, actually. I do like cheese, but I wouldn't really choose it as my dessert. I'd rather have it with a glass of wine as a kind of light appetizer, I suppose. And for dessert, have something sweet. Yeah. 123 says, sometimes in restaurants in France, you can choose cheese as a dessert. Yeah, so I think it comes from France, this idea. So, answers. Very good, guys. Bubble Tea, Jenny, Sohyun. The answer is a P. Well done. So if you remove the last 2 letters, E and A, it still sounds like P. And this is what I mean when I say P. So yes, well done to you guys for getting the quiz question right. Fantastic. Very, very good. Okay, so it's time for a mini quiz. We've already gone over time by a couple of minutes, but if you stay along for another couple of minutes more, we can finish off with our mini quiz. So let's start that. I want you to, I'm just going to skip. Oh no. Okay, let's move to the mini quiz because we don't have time for this. Maybe we can talk about it another time. Okay, mini quiz time. Here we go. Can you please write your answers in the chat? And whoever gets it first, I will shout out their name and say well done. So here we go. Question number 1. Talking of cheese boards, which one of these is Stilton, a popular cheese found on a cheese board? Is it A, picture A? Is it picture B or is it picture C? Which one is Stilton? Can anyone tell me? A, B or C? What do you think? Here we go. Okay, we've got some answers coming in. Okay, all right. We've got a mix of answers, but it looks like from my end that Farzad was the first one to give the correct answer, which is B. Well done, Farzad. Fantastic. This is Stilton. This is a traditional British cheese. It's also known as blue cheese. So it's a type of blue cheese, Stilton, and very popular on cheese boards, and it's actually really tasty. It looks funny because of the blue, but it's really nice. It's quite strong, so if you don't like strong tastes of cheese, then you wouldn't like it. But yeah, really, really nice. If you get a chance to try it, go for it. The other ones, the other pictures, in case you're curious, picture A is Camembert, which is a type of French cheese, I believe. And picture C is cheddar. We have different kinds of cheddar here in the UK, very popular British cheese as well. You can also find it on a cheese board. Yeah. Well done. Okay, I have one more question for you today, guys. Here we go. This time it's about coffee after dinner. So if you order an Irish coffee after dinner, what's in it, apart from coffee, of course? Is it A, whiskey, B, brandy, or is it C, rum? What do you think you normally find in an Irish coffee? Okay, we have some answers coming in. Let's see if there's any more. Fantastic, fantastic. It looks like on my end that 123 was the first one to get the answer right. The answer is whiskey. Fantastic. So an Irish coffee is normally black coffee with a shot of whiskey in it. And often on the top of the coffee, there might be some like cream, like whipped cream. Yeah, so that's a nice way to finish your dinner if you feel like a coffee. There we go. So I think that's all we have time for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you found this stream interesting and a little bit different to our usual lessons. And that, you know, next time you're in the UK, you'll be able to recognize some of these popular foods on different menus. So it's not just traditional food, but it's food that is trending, let's say, at the moment, or food that is very common on menus or of all kinds. So let me know if you ever try any of these foods and drinks that I've mentioned. And yeah, I will see you next week, guys. I'm sure you're hungry by now. I actually fancy a snack as well and a coffee. So I'm going to go do that now. I'll see you next week. I'll be here the same time, so starting at 2 p.m. GMT. And I'll be here with a different topic next week. Thank you, guys. Take care. Thank you for your comments and for joining in. Have a lovely rest of the week. Bye-bye.